Hello, everyone. I am Fyruz Khan, and today I am back with a brand new class. For today, I have Business Studies Edexcel AS. We started this chapter 26, Forms of Business PLC. This chapter is short, it has around 25 slides. The good news is we finished half of it. Now, the other half is left. We will complete it by today. So yeah, there we go. Let's wait for some of our learners and students to join, and then we can go ahead. If you're here, just type yes so that we know you're here. And in the meantime, you can like our page on Facebook. Just type in Fyruz Education Services. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Type in Fyruz Education Services. We have a lot of educational videos and we are constantly updating it. So do not hesitate to subscribe and like our social media pages. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. So if you can see this picture, so this picture is a picture taken from New York's stock exchange, and this is a picture of Jack Ma. So who is Jack Ma? Jack Ma is the founder of Alibaba. And he's very happy, he's rejoicing because in that very day, Alibaba became a public limited company in New York. It was listed in New York Stock Exchange, and it was one of the most successful time of Alibaba, right? So it's a Chinese internet company like Amazon. It's a very big, it's huge, and in 2014 their company was listed in the National Stock Exchange. So when it was listed, the share was around $100. Okay, and then no, sorry, it started at $68. Then it jumped to $100, and then it settled back to $93. So see, shares, they will jump, they will go down, and then they finally will find a suitable position. This is known as floating. So they will float, and then they will find their own position. That's how it happens. So when Alibaba started trading, the day it started trading, it was $68, and then it jumped to $100, and then it settled to $93, which is a good point. Okay, and it was up by 38%, and therefore the company was valued at $231,000 million. Can you imagine? It's a huge company. So the biggest advantage of public limited company is that you can sell shares to the public and can raise money. See, they've raised so much of money. So that's the biggest advantage. Now, there are a lot of similarities between private and public, and there are also, significant differences between a private and a public. Okay, and high-profile flotations like this, when big companies become public limited company like Alibaba, Tesla, or Facebook, they gain a lot of attraction from the investors because these companies are profit making companies, because these companies are big companies, huge companies, and they make a lot of money. So when they become public limited company from private limited, it gains a lot of media attention. It gains a lot of attention from potential investors. It gains attention worldwide and globally. So eventually they will find a lot of investors, and therefore you can raise money, right? So let's see some similarities and differences between private and public. So similarities is they both are limited liability. Okay, you don't have to take full responsibility of everything. Okay, the business will cover itself. Separate legal identity. Business is different, and personal life is different. Personal wealth is different, and both of them can continue even after the death of the owner. In sole trader or partnership, if the owner passes away, then the company has to be reformed, but not in the case of public and private. Okay, they can be continued, right? So it's a big advantage. The differences are the differences are. Oh, I made a big mistake here. Anyways, don't look here. The biggest difference is private limited company can sell shares privately. Okay, and in public limited company, uh, the shares can be sold to anyone, to you, to me. But in private limited, you can only sell it to family and friends. Okay, so you can sell the shares privately and you can raise a lot of money. That's the biggest difference. You can note it down, you can write it down. So let's have a look at some of the advantages of public limited company. Okay, so public limited companies enjoys a lot of advantages because it's so big, it's larger in size. When you're larger in size, you have more power, more authority, more control. People will listen to you because your sales revenue is great. It's greater. You make a humongous amount of profit. So it's very different. Okay, so the first advantage of public limited company is, we've studied here, like Alibaba, when they went public, they raised huge sums of money, $231 million, 231,000 million dollars. So if you're a public limited company, you can sell huge amount of shares. So you can raise a huge amount of money. So keep that in mind. 231,000 million dollars is not a joke. But this is not possible with sole trader. This is not possible with uh, partnership. This is not possible with private limited. Yes, in private limited you can sell shares. It is possible, but it's limited. You can only sell shares or transfer the shares to family and friends. But here, there we go. So if you're looking to make a lot of money, to raise a lot of money, to expand, public is the way to go. So that's the first advantage. Raise huge sums of money. Write it down on your note. Okay. Then number two, you will enjoy economies of scale. And we've talked about economies of scale all the time. What is economies of scale? So let's say when you make, let's say I have a small bottle of Sprite. So if I make one bottle of Sprite, it will cost me, let's say, 20 taka. But if I make 30 bottle of Sprite, per unit will come down, let's say 12 taka. Why? Because we are making more. When you make more, the average cost per unit will come down. Because see, costs will remain the same. If you make more items, costs will not change. Your rent will be the same, your labor charge will be the same, your other miscellaneous expenses like wages, salary will remain the same. So the more you make, you will enjoy economies of scale. So that is good. So public limited companies are huge. They have 50, 60, 70,000 employees and they make a lot of money, right? So therefore, unit costs per unit will come down. That's number two advantage. First, raise huge sums of money. Second, you will enjoy economies of scale. Write it down. Third, okay, third, you're so big that you have a lot of power and control. You can dominate the market. This is the word. You can dominate the market. Like, Apple, Samsung, or Facebook, or Tesla, or Amazon. Nobody can compete with them. Even the government cannot do anything with them because they're so huge. Think about Amazon, such a big and rich company. Think about Apple. Apple has around, I don't know, around $300 billion in cash reserve. Taka pore ache. Around 200 to 300, if I'm not mistaken. So with these kind of companies, can you compete? They have a lot of power over suppliers, power over consumers, power in the market. Okay, that's the third advantage. First, raise a lot of money. Second, economies of scale. Third, you're so big and that you have a lot of domination in the market. You can control the market. Fourth is um, it becomes easier to raise money because Because when you're a public limited company, you have a lot of status and prestige, because you cannot become a public limited company overnight. It is impossible. So let's say if you're a public limited company, you have had a journey for 20, 30, 35 years. You have a certain reputation, status, and prestige in the market. So it will be easy to attract investors. It will be easy to raise finance. Okay. So yeah, and it'll be easy to get secured loans, which means it'll be easy, since you have a lot of resources, since you have a lot of capital resources, you can mortgage them and get the money. For example, let's say I need 500 taka. Okay, I need 500 taka. Since I'm a big company, I have a lot of, let's say, resources. So what I'll do is I'll keep my phone. This is my spare phone. As a big company, you will have a lot of resources. Or let's say this is a land that I don't use. I will mortgage this and get this money. Okay. So, and of course, you can attract a lot of investors. So that's number four, I guess. One, two, three, four. Yeah. Okay. And number five is PLCs, public limited companies. They get a lot of pressure from the media. People always write about Google. People always write about Amazon, Facebook, Apple, big companies, McDonald's. You will see their articles on the newspaper always, and that creates a pressure. And that pressure trickles down to or travels down to the managers. And when they get that pressure, they work properly. They always have something in their head that, people are trying to scrutinize them. People are always, running after them. So they have a pressure of performing well. Okay. And therefore they will make profits. So executives and managers will perform well because there's a certain pressure from the media, from the people, because these are famous companies and people will write about them. Yeah. So let's have a look at the advantages. You can raise a huge amount of money, number one. Number two, you can enjoy economies of scale, which means lower cost per unit. Number three, you have, since you're so powerful, you may be able to dominate the market. Number four, it's easier to raise finance because you have a lot of assets. You can mortgage them and get secured loans. Number five is, there's a certain pressure towards manager and employees and executives. Therefore, they will work hard. Okay, so that's number five. So if you have any questions, do not hesitate. Do not hesitate to put down your comment below on the comment section. I will take it. Okay. So there you go. Now, what can be the disadvantages? The first disadvantage is that making a public limited company or converting a public limited company from private limited is damn expensive. You have to pay legal fees. You need to hire at least 15 to 20 lawyers. You need to hire professional bankers. You need to pay for other costs. You need to make a prospectus. Everything needs to be made professionally. Everything has to be professionally done. You may also need to buy new offices or rent new offices because public limited company means you're expanding. Okay, so the setting up cost is very high. It's quite expensive. That's number one disadvantage for you. Setting up cost is very, very high. Okay. Number two, because the shares are available to the public, to the general people, anybody can buy the shares, right? I think I have an example here. Structure of PLC, if I'm not mistaken. So let's say this is a public limited company and I have 40,000 shares and the people has 10,000 shares and I have done it intentionally. The normal public, the general public has less shares because I've done it intentionally. Because if they have more than 40,000, then they will become the major owner of the company and they will be able to control the company. They will be able to do anything in the company. So this is intentional. So when you're a public limited company, there is always a risk that people can buy your shares. So you have to be very strategic about it. You have to be very careful about it. I have a better example for you. Let's go ahead and do this. We have a nice example, and I hope everyone can relate to this to this beautiful picture. I love chocolates. Okay, so as you can see, or as you can predict, that this is Cadbury, and Cadbury was founded in 1824 in England, Birmingham, 186 years ago. So it is a pride for the British people, for the British culture. Okay. Um, and it has over 72,000 employees, around 72,000 employees. Think about it, such a big company, right? um, and what happened was we know that it is a part of British pride and culture. They were found 186 years back. You go to the street and ask anyone that, do you know what Cadbury is? Everybody will tell you, and they will have a smile on their face, because everybody can connect with Cadbury, right? Right from your childhood to right now, everyone has enjoyed and eaten a Cadbury chocolate. But unfortunately, in 2010, they were sold to a US company called Kraft Food. Okay, and that happened because they took over majority of the shares, because Cadbury is a public limited company and Kraft Food was trying to buy majority of the shares, and then finally they were able to buy in 2010, and they took over the company. So there will be a risk of other people, individuals, or other companies taking over a company. And Kraft Food tried for a long time. They couldn't in the beginning because people are very attached to this company, as it is a part of British culture and pride. But eventually they bought it in 2010. So there's a risk of being sold out, and they were sold out for $19 billion. So when you structure out your shares, make sure you have majority of the shares owners, because sometimes in public limited company you may have families in the board. So make sure your families or you have more control. Otherwise, others, the general public here, can get into the company by buying majority of the shares. And when they have majority of the shares, that means they can decide. They will be involved in decision making. They will be involved in controlling, right? Um, okay, great. Do we have? Do we? Just give me a minute. Okay, so we've done that. So yeah, more disadvantages are as a public limited company. You have to present your account, to other people, okay, to other companies, to newspapers, because you're a public limited company. You're raising money from the public. And when you raise money from the public, যদি কমন মানুষের থেকে যদি আমরা টাকা উঠাই রাস্তা থেকে, then ওদেরকে আমার accounts দেখাতে হবে, right? I need to show them my accounts and tell them how we use their money. Yeah. So you have to publish financial documents in the newspaper, in magazines, trade magazines. So when you publish them, it's sensitive information, it's secret information, and that will also be available to your let's say competitors. So that is again a disadvantage, because you are disclosing your financial information, because you have taken money from the public and they have the right to know what you're doing with their money. But on the other hand, there will be competitors who will be looking at your account, and they can predict what you're doing, and your secret information is out, because financial information is very sensitive. So you have to be very careful. And then the other disadvantage is that um, public limited companies are huge. So you won't be able to give personal service. If you go to a small company, let's say you go to a small restaurant, right, which has just 5 employees, not so many customers, they will be able to take care of you. They will be able to give you quality meal, and they will be able to establish close relationship with you. But it's not possible for a very big restaurant, a 5-star restaurant, where you have, let's say, 50 employees, and every day you have 300 clients or customers. It's not possible. So the giant corporations like Apple or Facebook or Amazon, they become faceless. There's a detachment, from the top to the bottom. Like FES is a small institution. We have 7 teachers, 3 4 staff, and everybody knows everyone. We have established a close relationship. But on the other hand, if you go to a very big restaurant, if you go to a big education institution, then they will not be able to establish that close relationship with you. Okay, so you will not be able to provide personal services. Okay, if you're so big, and that happens with public limited companies. Okay, um, yeah, disadvantages, more disadvantages. You always, because public limited company means it's a huge thing. There are a lot of laws and regulation. You always have to follow some protocol. You always have to follow some kind of legislation. Always. Okay. And since it's so big, it's inflexible. You cannot change. If you want, let's say during COVID, you have had a lot of losses. You want to change a product, but you cannot do that because you're so big. You have a lot of laws. You have a lot of regulations. You have to talk to people. You have to get approval from the board of directors. So yeah, and let's see what we've talked about so far. Let's just so the first one is setting up cost is very high. Second is your secret information will be revealed. Secret financial sensitive information will be revealed. Third, you will not be able to give personal services. Okay. Fourth, there are a lot of laws and regulations. Fifth, since it's so big, it's inflexible. Number five. Number six is this a divorce of ownership and control. Okay. For example, let's take this company, BP. BP is British Petroleum. Again, another British company. And again, this is a very old company. It was founded in 1909 and it was founded in London, England. And they operate in 80 countries. So understand their, how massive, how big they are. They have a revenue of $283 billion a year. Can you just imagine how big they are? I'm showing you these numbers to understand their scale. Okay, they have 73,000 employees alone. Okay, and therefore, which means since they're so big, it means that the owner has a divorce between the owner cannot connect on a personal level with the employees, with the workers. It's not possible. So what they do is, so the question is, okay, so do. So what do they do? That's the question. What they do is here, they will hire senior executives, they will hire managers, they will hire supervisors. So they will act as an intermediary. Okay, so what will happen is since this company is so big, they have 73,000 people, they operate in 80 countries. So it's not possible for the founder, it is not possible for the owner, to look after everything. Therefore, they will have senior executives, they will have managers, they will have supervisors who will look after the operation. And this creates a divorce between the ownership and control. Sometimes senior executives and managers and supervisors will do things what they like. They will create their own objective, and that is not right. Okay, so think about that. So this actually means divorce of ownership and control, because at the end of the day, you will see that these supervisors and managers and executives will run the company, because the owners does not have time to look after everything, because it is so big, it is so vast, it is so huge. Okay, so there we go, right? So yeah, so that actually explains the divorce of ownership and control. So we're done with disadvantages. If you have any questions, oh, we have some more. Okay. Um, okay, we've talked about this. We've talked about, yeah, we're done actually. We're done. We've talked about this. We've talked about this. Yeah. So, yeah, if you have any questions, please do let us know. We've specifically talked about advantages and disadvantages of public limited companies. We've talked about BP, we've talked about Cadbury, we've talked about Alibaba. So we've talked about some important companies. Go back and research about them. Okay. We've talked about similarities and differences. I made a mistake here. I will correct it and send you the slide. Okay. Then we've talked about the advantages. You can raise a lot of money. You can enjoy economies of scale. You can dominate the market. That's number three. It's easy to raise finance. That's number four. The disadvantages is setting up cost is very high. Okay. Number two is you have to reveal your secret information. Number three, you will not be able to give personal service. That's number three. Number four, there are a lot of laws, legislation that you need to follow. And since you're so big, you'll be inflexible. And the last is there will be a divorce between ownership and control. Since you're so big, the owner cannot control everything. The owner will not be able to look after everything. And therefore, he will have to hire managers and supervisors. And these managers and supervisors sometimes will have their own objectives. They will do their own thing. And that may impact the business. You may lose the culture. Customers may not be happy because there are too many intermediaries in between. Let's say you're the owner and here are the customers, and there's a gap because the company is so big, and the managers and supervisors will be in the middle running the company. Okay, so we'll stop here. If you have any questions, please do let me know. Okay, I will take all your questions. Do not hesitate to like our page on Facebook. Just type in Fyruz Education Services. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. It's all free. Just type in Fyruz Education Services again. And if you want, you can send me a friend request, Fyruz Khan, and send a message that, you'll be following my class or something. Right. Thank you very much. I'll take your leave. We're done with the chapter, which is a good news. I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy your weekend, guys.